Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to another video. It's that time of the week again. It's Premier League predictions time. Another round of exciting and intriguing Premier League encounters are almost upon us for this weekend, and I for one cannot wait for the action to unfold before our very eyes. Of course, this is the video where I try and talk about the games and try to predict the outcomes of each and every single one of the Premier League encounters coming up. But before we get into all of that, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And of course, I encourage you all to get involved in the comment section down below. Use and views that section, people. Give me your thoughts, give me your comments, opinions, feelings, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure will make for great and interesting reading. But most of all, I want your predictions. I want to know which games you're looking forward to. And I want to know all of your predictions ahead of the Premier League encounters this weekend. Because after all, people, where would a Premier League predictions video be, after all, without predictions? Sound good? Great. We're getting things started then. We're getting the ball rolling with Chelsea taking on Everton at Stamford Bridge. And as you can see, I have gone for a 1-1 draw. Now, past couple of weeks haven't exactly been too kind to Chelsea. Ever since that 1-1 draw against Arsenal, things have gone completely off the rails. It was a fantastic performance. It was a symbolic performance that Chelsea may be heading in the right direction. But since then, a loss to Leeds, a draw to Bournemouth, and a loss midweek in the Champions League to Atalanta have not helped Enzo Maresca at all in this scenario. And they're coming up against an Everton side who have got some good form behind them in their past few games. 2 wins on the bounce. They've got 4 wins out of their last 5. It's been a very, very interesting time, I would say, for David Moyes' side and for the Toffees in general. And obviously, they're going to be looking at this one. And if, obviously, Chelsea are faltering and stuttering a little bit, I wouldn't be surprised if they're licking their lips at the prospect of really throwing a spanner in the works at Chelsea in this game. I've gone with a 1-1 draw. I could see this going any which way, you know. It genuinely wouldn't surprise me if Everton did win. It wouldn't surprise me if Chelsea took advantage of being the home team in this situation. And of course, there is the possibility that Everton throw an Everton in there and, you know, decide to slip up in these kinds of games. But they do tend to obviously be a thorn in the side of certain big teams, and Chelsea is certainly one of them. It's going to be very interesting to see how this game unfolds. I, for one, cannot wait to see what this game has in store for us. But I'm going 1-1. Come the final whistle. Next game, we're moving on to Liverpool versus Brighton at Anfield. And I've gone 2-2. I've gone 2-2. This is tricky. This is tough for me to predict because I don't know what Liverpool team is turning up. I don't even know what Brighton team is really turning up, to be honest with you. But I've gone 2-2. I've gone down the middle. Anfield hasn't exactly been too kind to Liverpool in recent games, of course. Conceding many goals, not really getting many wins and results. And Brighton have actually been really good in the big games this season. Won against Manchester City, won against Chelsea, of course. So they have had a few big wins under their belts this season, Brighton. And like I say, if they are smelling blood here, they should go for the kill because they would find this favourable. This Liverpool team, okay, unbeaten in their last 4 games in all comps. Big win at the San Siro midweek against Inter. But when you deep it, when you scratch below the surface, those results, a win against West Ham should be standard. A draw against Sunderland should be a win. And a draw against Leeds, considering that we bottled a 2-goal lead, should have been a win as well. So hasn't exactly gone all Liverpool's way. And I, for one, am kind of worried about this game in all honesty. Brighton can be a thorn in our side. And it's never normally an easy game against Brighton as it is. And if they are tenacious, if they are intense, if they are quick, and if they are very physical and bulliers, if they are first to every first ball, first to every second ball, they really can turn the screw here, turn up the heat and the intensity on Liverpool. A Liverpool side which, of course, will have the overlooming shadow of the Mohamed Salah situation hanging over them. Will he play in this game? Potentially, well, definitely for the final time before AFCON. Potentially for the final time ever in a Liverpool shirt, depending on what stories you read and stuff like that. We shall see. I don't think we'll see Salah this weekend, but obviously stranger things have happened and it really depends on the situation behind closed doors. But I'm nervous for this one. I'm very much nervous for this one because, honestly, Brighton very well could win this. They're a very good side. They have been somewhat awkward a little bit this season at times. But at the end of the day, they very well could win this. Liverpool could too. But what we've seen of Liverpool is that when Arne Slot abandons his principles, Liverpool tend to play better and obviously perform better and actually get better results than what they do when Arne Slot decides to try and play his way. So, what's Arne going to do this weekend? Is he going to stick with his principles? Or is he going to try and do something a little different that may catch Brighton off guard? Only time will tell. And look, I'm hoping and praying for a Liverpool win, but I'm not entirely confident. I wouldn't be surprised if Brighton got the result, in all honesty. But I'm going to call it down the middle. I'm sticking with a Desmond. It's going to be a Desmond 2-2. Next up, we're at Turf Moor for the arrival of Fulham to Burnley as Scott Parker takes on Marco Silva's side. I've gone Fulham to win. Burnley are coming into this game in really bad form. Fulham are typical Fulham, hit and miss. It wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility for Burnley to get something from this game, but you would probably say that Fulham should be the ones getting the win here, should be the ones getting the results. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, Fulham should be winning this game. There's no doubt about it. They've got the quality. They've got the better players. But Burnley might see this as a favourable opportunity to get some points on the board to try and obviously help their battle against relegation. It's not the realms possibility that Burnley can't get something, but I just think that the difficulty that Fulham can possess in these types of games, even if they are away from home, may be too much for Burnley to handle. So I'm going with a 2-1 win to Fulham, and I'm sticking with that. Next up, one of the more favourable games potentially to call this weekend, with all due respect to Wolverhampton Wanderers, is of course the game at the Emirates where Arsenal take on the only side in the Premier League so far to be without a win this season in Wolves, and I've gone with a very comfortable 3-0 victory in favour of Mikel Arteta's side. Now, I would love Wolves to pick up their first win of the season against Arsenal. I think it would be funny, hilarious, and obviously throw the cat amongst the pigeons when it comes to the Premier League title race. It would be amazing if Wolves were to get something from this, but I cannot see that happening at all. This, for me, is the perfect and most favourable game that Arsenal could have asked for in terms of getting back to winning ways in the Premier League after, of course, losing to Aston Villa last weekend. They've since gone on in Champions League action to beat Club Brugge in very comfortable fashion, and I think they will do the same against Wolves in this one. Fantasy football managers are probably piling their teams with Arsenal players as we speak. Because this is just the most favourable game to call. Like, this should be a very comfortable win for Arsenal. I'm hoping it's not. But I have to be open, I have to be honest and say that this, for me, has all the makings of an Arsenal win. Simple as that. Arsenal to win, Arsenal to get a clean sheet, Arsenal to put whatever strange doubts certain fans had last week to bed. They'll be fine. Arsenal will win. Next up, we're at the City Ground for one of Sunday's 2 o'clock kickoffs as Nottingham Forest play host to Tottenham. And I'm going with a Tottenham win. Simple as that. I'm going with a Tottenham win. I think Tottenham in the past couple of weeks have actually played really, not really well, but they've played well enough to obviously get the results that they desire. Whether it be in the Premier League or the Champions League. They did really well against Brentford last weekend. They did really well in midweek. And let's face it, away from home as well, they are pretty damn good. Like, they've got one of the best away records in the Premier League. They come up against a Nottingham Forest side who are in desperate need of points to obviously help towards their Premier League survival bid. But ultimately, I don't know what Sean Dyche team is going to turn up. I really, really don't. Is it going to be one that was like against Liverpool, where they were tough to beat, they were resilient, they were tenacious, intense? Or is it going to be one that is simply going to be soft and not be as physical, not be as demanding, not be as challenging as what we know that this Forest side can be? Spurs are there for the taking. Let's face it. They are Spurs. They are Spursy for a reason. They can be. But it's all about whether or not Forest rise to that challenge. At home, they potentially could do. They could feed off the energy of the crowd, that kind of thing. And let's face it, they are in real need of feeding off the energy of the crowd if they are to get some more points on the board. However, I think the individual quality of Tottenham will see out. I think the quality in the final third will be enough to put them to bed. And not only that as well, but Tottenham's defence, I think, will rise to the occasion in this one. So I'm going 2-1 to Tottenham in this one. Next up, I am looking forward to this one. I am really looking forward to this one. It is the Tyne-Wear Derby. It is back. It returns to the Premier League this weekend as Sunderland take on Newcastle at the Stadium of Light, and I have gone for a 2-2 Desmond draw. I can't necessarily pick a winner. Well, I can't really pick a result in this. I've had to just kind of eeny, meeny, miny, moe it a little bit in terms of this one, because Sunderland have had a very, very good campaign. Sunderland have been better than what a lot of people, including myself, had expected this season. So much so that they actually have an unbeaten home record so far in this in this campaign. Newcastle had a slow start, but in recent weeks have really begun to shift through the gears. They're not perfect, but they really have begun to shift through the gears in terms of getting better, getting their players to click more, more cohesion, more unity in the ranks. They are getting better with every single passing game. They come up against their fierce rivals. It's not going to be easy for either side by any stretch of the imagination. I'm expecting goals. And I'm expecting Sunderland to maintain their unbeaten home record, which is, by the way, the perfect recipe for trying to stay up in the Premier League. Make sure your home ground is your fortress. And Sunderland are reading that playbook and executing that playbook to absolute perfection. I don't see that changing this weekend. As much as I think that Newcastle, given the intensity of the rivalry and all of that stuff, it's going to be a very, very incredible atmosphere, I'm sure, at the Stadium of Light this Sunday, which is why I can't wait to personally watch this game. I think Sunderland will get the job done in terms of remain unbeaten and in terms of not lose this game. So I'm going for a 2-2. I wouldn't be surprised whichever way the result goes, though, but I am looking forward to potentially one hell of a game between these two. Cannot wait. Next up, we're off to London. We're off to the London Stadium, where West Ham will welcome Aston Villa to their ground. And I've gone with a 3-1 win to Aston Villa. Aston Villa are the form team right now in the Premier League. Big, big wins here and there and everywhere. They've got the run of form going. They've got the head of steam going. And after last week's win against Arsenal, you'd have to be very brave to go against them in this game. Having said that, though, sometimes teams can put a little bit too much effort into the big games and then take their eye off of the more favourable games, shall we say, with all due respect to West Ham. This is seen as a game in which Aston Villa should be winning. But obviously football does not ever work out normally that way, and that if you take your eyes off of the more favourable games, they are potential banana skins waiting to happen, and that's exactly what West Ham could be here. They could be a big banana skin that is just waiting to take at least a point off of Aston Villa. West Ham could also be helped out by the fact that after an intense 90 minutes against Arsenal, that Aston Villa go into another intense 90 minutes in the Europa League on Thursday night. We're doing this before the Europa Leagues have kicked off, so we don't exactly know the result or the outcome or the performance of Aston Villa, but that could also be a factor. The fitness levels of the team to consider, the rotation of the team could also have to be considered by Unai Emery. So that could also play into West Ham's hands, but without knowing fully, I am going purely based off of form, off of how well they played last week, and I'm going with Aston Villa to win this game. Obviously, we wait and see. I wouldn't be completely surprised if Villa did drop points here, because I have seen it time and time again where a team goes into a game they're not necessarily expected to win, but they overexert themselves, they play to levels that they probably didn't even expect them to play to. They win the game, and then they go to a more favourable opponent, and then they take their eye off the ball and they drop points. It genuinely wouldn't surprise me if that kind of scenario played out this weekend, but I have to go with a more favourable team. I have to go with a more likely option in this case, and that is, of course, an Aston Villa win. I'm going 3-1 to the away side, and for them to heap more misery onto West Ham and Nuno Espirito Santo. Moving on to the 4:30 game on Sunday. Brentford take on Leeds United. Now, can I just say first and foremost, with all due respect to both of these clubs, I understand greatly that the Premier League isn't just made up of 6 or 7 of the big clubs. Everybody is involved. There are big fan bases in every club that is in England's top flight division. But why, oh why is this game on at 4:30 on Sunday? I'm not saying it shouldn't be on TV, by the way. You could throw this on at midday on Saturday. Guess what? There's no midday game on Saturday. But what there is on Sunday is 4 games, 3 of which I think a lot of us would be very much interested in watching without having to either watch it on 2 different devices or some sort of split screen thing. I reckon you could probably move one of those 4 games to the 4:30 and this game to the 12:30. Neither of these teams are playing midweek. Neither of these teams are playing on Thursday. So the fact of the matter is that whilst these 2 teams are playing on Sunday at 4:30, there is a spot at 12:30 on Saturday that is going unused. The schedulers, the people that make the scheduling for the Premier League games weekend to weekend or match day to match day are absolutely atrocious this year. Absolutely atrocious. This is like the 6th game week in which there's been no 12:30 kickoff. This game could have easily fitted that gap, and you could have moved the Tyne-Wear Derby to 4:30. You could have moved the Crystal Palace Man City game to 4:30, or even the Nottingham Forest Tottenham one. Instead, those 3 plus the West Ham Aston Villa game are all going to be on at the same time at 2 o'clock. It is ridiculous. Anyway, rant over. Sorry. I really do apologise. Rant over. I've gone with a home win to Brentford. I think after a couple of poor results for the Bees, I think this is a very good game to get back on winning. Get back to winning ways with. A more favourable game to get back on good terms with. Leeds United, of course, absolutely battled valiantly against Liverpool last week in a 3-3 draw. They've had a horrible week as well. Well, it would have been a horrible week, on paper at least. Obviously, a big game. It was basically big game after big game after big game, of course. Before Liverpool, they actually went to Chelsea. Not many people were expecting to get the result there, but they did. They came close to getting a result against Manchester City as well, but they fell to a late Man City winner. So it had been actually a better week than what a lot of Leeds fans were probably anticipating and expecting when the fixtures came out. They came out of it with 4 points from a possible 9. And let's be real, that Liverpool game could have easily swung more in their favour had they just been a bit braver, a bit more valiant in certain areas. But they go into this game. Will the intensity level, the adrenaline of that kind of week drop off a little bit? Potentially. Could Brentford reinforce themselves? Could they have got the reality check that they were so maybe in need of following that hammering against Tottenham? Potentially. Could they regroup and get better? That could all be the case. Only by finding out what the score is and the performance is at the end of 90 minutes will we know for sure the answer to those questions. But I think Brentford having a solid midfield and, of course, an attack that I think is a bit sharper than Leeds and I think is a little bit stronger than Leeds, I think Brentford will get the job done, especially because they have a goal scorer who is second behind Erling Haaland in the Premier League this season, who hasn't scored for a couple of weeks. So I'm anticipating that he will get back on the score sheet in particular. Brentford to win by 2-1. Next up, Monday night's game, we'll see Manchester United in action again on Monday night as they take on Bournemouth at Old Trafford, and I've gone with a 1-1 draw. Bournemouth, of course, past few weeks, the wheels kind of fell off their season a little bit, but they did steady the ship a little bit, stop the rot with a 0-0 draw against Chelsea. And Manchester United, of course, massive win in terms of goals against Wolves. They were expected to win, but of course, again, nothing's ever a dead cert with Manchester United, so you can't take that for granted. But United, I don't even know, because I don't know what United team is going to turn up. I don't know what Bournemouth team is going to turn up. This would be favourable for either side, with both teams with both teams being somewhat inconsistent in terms of form coming into this one. If I had to stick my neck out on the line, I'd probably say that this is the ideal game for Bournemouth. And of course, Andoni Iraola has had the better of Manchester United in the past. But of course, and again, it's a different United, or a slightly different United team in terms of personnel, in terms of individual talent. And of course, this will be the final game before Brian Mbeumo goes to AFCON. Bruno Fernandes obviously put up a very good performance against Wolves on Monday, which I'm sure that he would want to continue to replicate. So I'm intrigued with this one. I'm very much intrigued with this one. It's going to be an interesting battle. I've gone 1-1. I've caught it down the middle, but I would not be surprised whichever way the result goes in this game. And finally, what I believe will be the biggest game in this round of fixtures, the main event of this weekend. Selhurst Park plays host to Crystal Palace and Oliver Glasner taking on Manchester City and Pep Guardiola. And I have gone with a 1-1 draw in this one myself. Now, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Because Crystal Palace normally are a bogey side for teams like City. Manchester City normally have these types of banana skin games in which they do, in fact, slip up with. Palace, I was actually checking it out the other day, their home record isn't exactly amazing this season in terms of points. In terms of points. They actually draw most of their home games, which means they've got the 15th best home record in the Premier League so far this season, with 2 wins, 4 draws and only 1 loss. So they're not exactly losing, but they're not exactly winning plenty of games either. While City, of course, we've seen that in the past few weeks, if it hasn't been Erling Haaland stepping up, Phil Foden has really stepped up these past few weeks, and I'm sure that he will have a big say again in this game. But even then, Man City's away record isn't amazing either. So I think a draw is probably the likely result here. I think the draw is the likely result. Of course, individual talent-wise, you probably would have to look at Man City and go, I wouldn't be surprised if City get the job done. But Palace, we know that they're strong defensively. They barely concede many goals. We know that. In fact, I think they actually do have one of the best, or the second best, should I say. They have the second best defensive record in the Premier League, so they don't really concede many goals. Their problem, like I say, has been the draws. The draws have been somewhat awkward for them. So if they can just get a bit of extra firepower going, if Jean-Philippe Mateta can find his scoring boots again, then maybe they might turn some of them draws into wins. But this weekend is obviously going to be difficult for both of these sides. I'm going for a draw. I'm saying 1-1. I'm saying a really good defensive performance from Palace. It won't be enough to completely neutralise City, and obviously Erling Haaland and Phil Foden, who are in sparkling form right now. But Palace should hold their own. And I wouldn't be surprised if Palace do get something from this game. So I'm going 1-1 and I'm sticking with that. And there you have it. That is what I believe will happen in match day... I forgot what it was then. 16. It's going to be match day 16 of the Premier League season 2025 to 26. But these are, of course, just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys are thinking and feeling. Let me know down in the comment section your predictions on how you think each and every single game will turn out in England's top flight division this weekend. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League predictions video. And I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video, or live stream, or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you all again very, very soon.